Hi there, in this video we will now continue from where we stopped in the lecture. I think we stopped a few slides down the line, somewhere here, but let's do a quick recap here. Now, aggregate supply curves. This topic is why aggregate supply curve is upward sloping or positively sloped. Now, first of all, let's describe what aggregate supply curve is, or what aggregate supply is in macroeconomics. Now we know in microeconomics, supply curve basically shows the relationship between quantities of output of a single product, let's say apples, against or the relationship between the quantities of output and the prices of this output, or just apples. Yeah, it's positive slope. That makes sense because as the apple prices are higher, more is produced given the potential profit opportunities. Now, in the macroeconomics setting, we're looking at the aggregate supply. It's the supply of total output in real terms. Yeah. So let's move on. We'll define it. As you can see on the x-axis here, we have quantity of output in real terms, and the y-axis we have price level. So this price level is not just the price of apple or orange or a car, but in fact price of is the average price of all goods and services produced in the economy. So that's quantity of total output, that's the real GDP, and this is usually a GDP deflator. Sometimes we will see CPI price level, but that's wrong, because when you have aggregated all the output in the economy, then this has to be all the output prices levels, right? Rather than a CPI. CPI is basically consumer price index, for which is only including the prices of consumer goods. So this includes everything, including capital goods as well here in the x-axis. Now, we could simply define it this way as well: as the prices increase or the price level of the economy increases, obviously everyone produces more. That's a possibility. But why everyone produces more? Or as the prices go down, or the overall price level go down, everyone produces less. But not necessarily in the macroeconomic sense. Some people may some companies may keep production at the level, some not, but we tend to apparently reduce our output as the price levels decline. Why this happens is because of mainly three reasons. There may be more, but major reasons that macroeconomists have come up with are sticky wages theory, sticky price theory, and misperceptions theory. So these three theories basically explain the reasons why we have this upward sloping curve. Now, this is a short run case here. Yeah, in the long run, aggregate supply curve is a perfectly vertical straight line. We'll come to that in a minute in another video. But for now, let's look at the reasons for why, or justifications for why, aggregate supply curve is upward sloping and also positively sloping. Yeah. Now, first one is a sticky wage theory. Imagine yourself here that you applied for a job and you got a job. You are given a contract, let's say long-term contract, with a long-term wage rate. So you have a long-term contract with a long-term wage rate based on the expectations of higher prices in the future. Let's say you have been given a higher than average, let's say, wage rate. This is done only because your employer thinks that in the future prices will continue rising. So it justifies paying you a high wage, and you are a talented business management graduate. Right, that's the expectation. But sometimes wages, because of this long-term contracts, do not adjust. Well, I'm jumping a little bit, so let's go back further, a little bit back. Now let's assume that in the economy you have a recession. It's caused by, let's say, some shocks. Maybe stock markets went down, maybe Americans had a recession, and UK is just getting the contagion effect. It's like when America sneezes, the whole of rest of the world gets cold or catches cold. That's the idea, basically, because of globalization. That may apply now. Let's say that there is a recession because of that. Now, because of recession, the aggregate demand usually will be lower. When aggregate demand is lower, prices go down. Aggregate prices go down, so price levels go down. Now, relative to price levels, your wages stick. They remain fixed because this was fixed in the beginning, right? Well, I should say at the beginning when you sign the contract. So your nominal wages remain the same while price levels go down. Right, that's actually costly now for the employer to keep paying you this high wages. And they might ask you to reduce the wage, but you may not agree. But they will tell you, look, your living expenses are lower now because everything is cheap. But you may say, no, it will be temporary. In fact, it is temporary. Yes, you're right, actually, if your response is temporary, kind of sort of reasoning response. But now, for an employer, temporary costs are still costs. So they would like to reduce output then because they cannot change your wages. They will have to reduce output. You see this now. So we're going back now. Because your wages are sticky, they cannot sort of carry on paying the same output, the same wages, and also producing at higher levels, given that the prices are going down. When everyone else is reducing the prices, they cannot really sell at high price as well. And given your wages, they cannot also reduce simply their own prices. But what they usually do is they reduce the output. So when prices go down in the economy, employers like yourselves or your employer and others basically will tend to cut down the output levels. Yeah, so as a result of sticky wages, costs rise, and to make savings they produce less, and they don't employ now as well. So employment of labor is less, capital is less, so output obviously become less as well. So overall price decline here leads to a total output decline as well, real output declining as well. So that's one explanation to why aggregate supply curve declines, or as the prices decline, aggregate supply quantities of aggregate supply decline. Now, sticky price theory is the second explanation. In this theory, similar to the sticky wage theory, the prices are sticky in the sense that once the pricing is done of all the project, let's say output or goods and services, adjusting or reducing the prices will become troublesome or difficult. So prices do not sort of respond to, or I should say, price levels in the whole economy will be hard to adjust. That's because once the prices are set, employers usually, what you do is they print catalogs of products with the prices described on them. They 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 do the same thing online as well. Online prices can easily be changed, however, but the catalog prices may not be possible to change. So even when the overall economy's inflation rate is lower, or in fact there is deflation going on, or negative prices rising, price rising at a negative rate, which means price declining, in other words, some employers might, or producers might, experience this sticky price situation. Now imagine them not being able to reduce their prices because of having committed to high prices in the beginning, or at least they would think that adjusting the prices will be costly because they would have to reproduce the brochures or catalogs, and replacing them is costly basically, so they keep on selling at the high prices. But because overall price level declined, let's go back now, overall price level declined, they will sell less or even not sell at all because maybe other employers reduce, or other, I should say, producers reduce their prices. So their sales will then start declining. As a result, they start employing less factors of production, which means they employ less labor, they employ less capital, they employ less technology, and eventually the output starts declining as well. So as the price level declines, output declines. So as a result, we have this upward sloping or positively sloping supply curve. Yeah. So hopefully that's clear to you. So the sticky point here is the menu costs. They are in other words, they refer to costs to adjusting prices. Well, when you are Argos, let's say, as you are an Argos manager, you will have set the prices well, let's say, in advance and produce these brochures. They usually have these catalogs, not brochure. They are heavy, they are expensive to produce, and once you set the prices at the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year, prices come down. Now the headache is that you need to replace these catalogs now, and that is not easy. So you would rather keep the existing catalogs and the prices as they are. If you are selling only online platforms, then it is easier. Obviously, just making adjustments online, but not all the uh, retailers do that. They would face changing retail tags, face changing all these placards or posters. So and then they also would have advertising expenses that would should justify basically high prices. Or in the original advertising, they would show high prices or high recommended retail prices, but then with the new or price levels being lower, they will face the same menu cost problem because they do not want to change now, or they do not want to tell the advertisers to produce new posters reflecting the new prices. It will be expensive again, and advertising is too expensive for them as well. So this is just an extra digression here, but the main point is that the prices are sticky. In other words, they are not adjusting easily, and they adjust but slowly. Right? So this causes the output to be reduced as a result. So employers what they could only do is just reduce the overall output in the economy. Now, moving on now, misperceptions theory. This is the third one. In the misperceptions theory, it's probably easy to explain as well. Imagine that you are a farmer, and this year you produce, let's say, 10,000 tons of wheat. But then you realize that the wheat prices are going down since, let's say, for the past, let's say 3 months. And you say, okay, well, producing more next time will not justify the price costs. So because prices are low, my costs usually are high, so I would rather produce less. You commit to less production now because you saw that wheat prices are going down for the past 3 months. But what you don't realize is that, in fact, overall price levels are going down, right? So you should, as a farmer, consider overall prices in the economy rather than wheat prices. When, as well as the wheat prices, overall prices go down, you should produce as much as you could because it's still cheaper to buy, given the low prices of raw materials, to start. To sell more or to produce more, not to buy. Sorry. So it's a misperception on the farmer side. They only see, because they're worried about their sales, they're worried about their harvesting, so they always think of their own final product prices. So if they see that the prices, or think or expect, in other words, that the prices will go down in terms wheat prices go down, they may cut back on output or investment in producing wheat. Instead, a wise farmer, I'm sure you will be a wise farmer if you were to choose the farming business as your trade, then you would think out of the box. In other words, you would look at all prices when you see that wheat prices are declining. Now, but it turns out, this theory suggests that not all producers follow this sort of wise path, wise thinking, basically. They would just are concerned with their product prices. Yeah, they would be only concerned with the wheat prices in this case. As a result, that they thought, so I'm going to repeat here, as a result of them thinking that wheat price are going down but everything else is staying or increasing, in fact, that's what they are thinking, they will cut back in output. In fact, it's possible that when wheat price go down, the whole economy's price level goes down, which means it would have justified to keep the production at this level, right? So what happens now is this: we go back in the whole economy, the prices go down, but we think that only wheat prices are going down. So as a farmer, I would think that the wheat price would go down if I were to just think of the wheat prices alone. Now, for that reason, I would reduce my output. Now, if every single farmer thinks this way, what happens in the whole economy, quantity of wheat will go down, and if other farmers or other retailers also think about their prices going down only, because we all tend to think of prices of our products. In rare cases, we look at our whole economy's prices, yeah? So in the whole economy price, actually everything is going down, and we also are reducing our output. It leads us to a lower point along the supply curve to this point, yeah? So this is now, if we connect the points now, it gives us an upward sloping, what we call this aggregate supply curve, yeah? So suppliers responding to change in level of prices basically, or what kind of wrong, I should say, wrong reaction to the response to the changes in overall level of prices will lead to reduced output in the end. Yeah, it's the misperception of the prices or about the prices that causes this output level to decline in the end. Right.